Hello, welcome back to another Keyframe Coach review. We're on a roll, starting 2025 well. So we've got a shot here from Muslim, and Muslim says, "Hey Owen, this is a blocking. Don't bother with the arc spacing issues. I was just looking for ways to improve the acting on this. I only like the first half, so if you could brainstorm some different ideas, that'd be great. I'm open to redoing the whole thing." Cool, sounds good. Let's have a watch, shall we? Just enable desktop audio. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear this just fine.
Tis ready for tasting. One drop of this, and her life will be mine. Tis ready for tasting. One drop of this, and her life will be mine.
Nice. Cool. So I think it's a good start. I think you definitely get she's a conniving witch. She's got this potion that she's brewed for someone. So yeah, it's a good start. I think we can push things. And you just turn off this audio so it's not playing back as I scrub. So first of all, I would say with any acting, with any animation at all, really, I think it's worth filming reference, even if it's just a box doing some kind of acting, just to help get your beats, and it will also give you ideas on rhythm and timing and spacing and all of those things. But I think it's a great way to plan something out like this, like any acting piece, really. So I would implore you to go and film reference and just really edit that down and make sure you've kind of got all of the acting in your reference. And with something like this, I would definitely ham it up and go as kind of conniving and crazy as you can and just really push things as much as you can, because with shots like this where it's just a mid shot, it's the character's legs are cut off, it's just purely acting, you need to stand out from the crowd, because a shot like this, and this isn't a sitting down shot, this isn't, sitting at a desk in a chair, but, we're cutting off the character just above the waist, we're doing all of our acting above there. So whatever you can do to differentiate your shot from other people's shots is going to be a bonus, really. And it's going to make people want to watch it. It's going to generate more interest in your work, and just generally, I guess that's kind of the the whole reason we do animation, right? Just to do fun things and push a character and really, create a performance that is just beyond what we could just do in live action, right? So I'm not saying you're not going to do that at all. I'm just saying off the bat, film reference and make it really pushed and something that is not like anything you've ever seen in an animated or regular performance. They're pretty lofty goals, but of course we should aim for lofty goals, avoiding cliches, doing something groundbreaking, doing something that people are going to go, wow, that's an amazing thing to do. I never would have thought to do that. That's just things to aim for. Another thing I did want to mention is the hunchback feel of her. So it kind of feels like we've got this big, which I'm sure you're doing it, but it feels like the chest is just rotated down, and really I feel like it's creating this very harsh line here, and it's just kind of feeling a bit too off model. So I wonder if you could maybe ease back on that. If we have a look at, the Hunchback from the Hunchback in Notre Dame, um, you can kind of see that these shapes are super clear and well designed, and doesn't really feel like this chest is, creating this huge shelf underneath. So whatever maybe you can do to use that as reference or find other references, just to make it feel a bit more designed, really. It kind of, at the moment, it kind of just feels like a rig, and you've taken the chest and really bent that all the way over. And I'm not saying you wouldn't bend it over at all. I definitely would. I just feel like it's maybe a bit too overdone in this, and I think there could be just a bit more form in there and a bit more design to make it feel, you know, to just really sell that idea. So maybe, you know, his arms are fine here. And maybe you just get a hint of neck as well in there. There's a way. Almost just feels like a stuck on head right now, you know? And if we're going for the kind of haggard old witch, and this is a very appealing character for someone that is, you know, has these physical deformities and is like spending all of her time over this cauldron and making this disgusting potion that's going to control someone, or ruin someone's life. I would maybe look at ways that you can vary up the asymmetry a lot, because this is obviously just like, if I look here, it's just super appealing Pixar face. So whatever you can do to get some nice asymmetry in there and really kind of push things and push the mouth and push the model to really feel asymmetrical and not unappealing, but less just standard Disney princess character design. I think what you're doing with the chin there, where it feels kind of pushed forward and more pronounced, is along the right lines. But you know, maybe you can push it even more. This chin could come out a bit more, and you know, I like what you've got going on with the nose. Maybe as ways to kind of push the ugliness of that a bit more. I mean, I'm not a designer in any way, but just pushing asymmetry feels like it could be the right way to go here. Whether that's with that expressions, turn on some asymmetry. Just to make it look a little more crazy and just a bit more, you know, like she spent her whole life in this kind of dungeon. She's got a bird nest in her hair or something. I don't know what a bird looks like. Arm feels a little thin on this side. I'm sure that's just a case of rotating the shoulder. But anyway, long story short, you could probably tweak the design a bit and do. I'm not saying this. Like I said, I'm just thinking about ways that maybe you can vary up the asymmetry and push the model, and you know, maybe it's not a bird nest. It's, you know, a witch's hat. It's, you know, sorting hat design sort of thing, bent over and crooked, and just everything about her is a bit crooked and a bit just old witchy. She could have no teeth. That might be fun. Just one of those really gummy kind of smiles. Still see her gums, but just no teeth whatsoever. Could be fun. That kind of just looks like she's just been eating blood. Anyway, into the acting. So let's listen to it again with some dialogue.
Tasting. One drop of this, and her life will be mine.
So I think generally you could get a bit more contrast and a bit more variety in the poses. It does kind of feel like you've got this kind of pose. See how I just zoomed out in real life? It feels like you kind of got this pose, and you're acting within that pose, which is great. It feels like you could go in some different places, especially if she's this kind of conniving old witch and just one drop of this and she'll be under my control. That's too much, but getting some of that kind of overacting and very on the nose, haha, I'm an evil witch, trying to get something sincere from this kind of comedy uh, character, I guess, which I assume is kind of what we're going for. It will feel sincere. It'll be great in the context of a film. It will work really nicely. But like I said, you want something that's kind of going to stand out a little bit more. So if you can get kind of realistic performance within this kind of crazed character who's doing all of these crazy kind of motions and accents and little gestures, I think that would be really cool.
Tis ready for tasting.
So one thing I think is it feels a little pose to pose. And it's not that you're not going to vary that up. It just feels like here she's sniffing. It feels like all she's doing is sniffing. She could be, stirring this around and go, or maybe, she stops for a slight sniff and then she's, oh, it's ready for tasting, and continues to stare it. So you just get a bit of texture and a bit of rhythm in there.
Tis ready for tasting.
If we're kind of stirring and getting excited about that, think about she's not just looking over this and you've got some nice stuff there where she kind of scoops out some potion, but whatever you can do, say she's getting an eye of newt, or she's getting some salt and maybe pouring that in and chucking this in and chucking that in, all of that kind of business just gives us something to do, and it makes it feel like she was there existing before this moment, and she's been working on this and she's been really cooking up a storm.
Ready for tasting. One drop of this.
So there's a good example where I think we can really push that. So she kind of comes up with it, and another sorry, place where it feels like we can vary up that rhythm a bit, and it just feels a bit pose to pose. She kind of gets up there and does the nice smell with it's like she's stirring and then almost like brings it to her down here, and then sort of is like, does this massive intake of, and then a big like, it's ready. It just feels like it just doesn't go far enough. It feels like you get there and then you just want to keep going and just breathe it, trying to get those bubbles that are in that soup just inside of your eyes, through your nose, and then into the back of your brain, and you just really want to smell that. I did also question, she says it's ready for tasting and then doesn't taste it. I don't know. There could be a comedy, and this is completely derailing your idea, by the way, but she could, taste it and then be really happy about it, and then, like, she dies because she just drank it. Very funny idea. But
One drop of this,
it did kind of. I was like, oh, okay, I'm all for like not doing exactly what the dialogue says. You know, having that subtext in there, whatever. It's ready for tasting, but then she doesn't taste it, obviously. But she could. Don't know.
One drop of this, and one drop of this, and her life. One drop of this.
So this is very, very hammed up. This is very, goes from a big smell to one drop of this. You can get really kind of small and focused on it, and like she hasn't just whipped this up in the morning. I'm feeling like she's been working on this potion for days, weeks. She's spent her entire career as a witch, and she's had setback after setback. This person has wronged her in the wrongest way, and she needs revenge. And all of the things she's tried haven't worked. But this is. Sorry, I ran out of disk space. Always check that you got disk space before doing a Keyframe coach review. I'm in. So, where was I?
One drop of this.
So she's worked on this thing for her whole career. She's, this is what it's all come down to. It's finally worked. So she wouldn't just be like, one drop of this. It would be like, I've done it. Oh my God, wait till mum hears about this. She always doubted me as a witch. She'd be just oozing with conniving, happy energy. Like, one drop of this. And just, I guess, hopefully that helps. I don't know how better to explain it than that. But yeah, in general, we can vary up the rhythm a lot. We can vary up like when things are happening. Don't just have things, pose to pose, one drop of this, and she could have it very, maybe linear, not linear, but more floaty than you might think, and then do little snaps out of that. So one drop of this, and she'll be within my control. Yeah.
And her life will be mine.
And then here again, you just want to feel, a build up. So it's like one drop of this, and her life will be mine. And maybe she goes very internal here, just like staring into the distance. Like I said, if you want to get some subtext into it, whatever you can think of, I kind of like the idea that she's been working at this for her entire life. No one ever believed in her. Everyone said she was a failure as a witch. And now it's her time.
Tis ready for tasting.
Let's try and think of anything else I can before wrapping this up, but
Tis ready for tasting. Tis
if I was that excited about something, I think I would kind of be just look down and engage with it and be like, oh, my creation, my Frankenstein's monster is ready. It's ready to go. I'm gonna be the most famous witch. Come on. So I'd probably engage with that potion a bit more and really be, just over the moon with it.
Tis ready for tasting. One drop of this, and her life will be mine.
So I guess if this is like super pushed, potentially even more. Could get a nice silhouette out of it as well. I don't know what hand does, but so. I don't know. I kind of like that the hand is out there. Maybe it's leaning on the side. I'm going to push this pose anyway.
and her life will be mine.
Really push the anger, like the connivingness. I'm not saying this is the pose, by the way. I'm just thinking by drawing.
This, one drop of this, one drop of this, and her
I mean, it's really difficult to kind of plan this out without doing some kind of reference. She does that kind of, and then a big down. I do kind of like that she maybe would be leaning on the edge. Just wonder if she can then transfer her weight and then kind of do something a bit more just so she's quite out there like that, going into a nice contrasted interior kind of pose where she's very internal and acting to camera, and not to camera, but acting into the distance, seeing something in the distance. Wouldn't be oh, look at, maybe she double grabs it with both of her hands, the ladle, or maybe she smells it and then pours it back in. She doesn't want to lose any of this magic potion that she's made. So, and then, and then she can just use the ladle, not worrying about that it's filled with soup, and just be a bit more natural and impulsive with it, so that you don't have to worry about any kind of soup coming out. Might be a good idea. So. That gives you that kind of going from here to something by the end of the scene where she's very, very conniving and she's got this idea. Maybe she's even like sinking down and she's ends up looking back down at the potion. And yeah, like I said, film reference. I hope those ideas are of help to you. I'm definitely not saying those are absolutely the right things to do. They're just things that come to mind when I see the shot and try and think of ways that we can push it and just have fun with it, really. So, hope that helps. Hopefully, the last recording wasn't corrupted, or I'm redoing that. And thanks a lot for purchasing a keyframe. Thanks a lot for purchasing a Keyframe Coach review once again. If you guys are interested in a review, you know where to go. Thanks a lot.